And I thought for 60 minutes of the game, I think you probably saw why I picked the lineup, because we had big energy, big organisation in the team, caused Real Madrid a lot of problems. So the only thing that was missing from our game was a goal, but we had really good chances to do that. So at this level, when you're in the strong moments, the first half was a strong moment for us. This team can always give you problems in transition, of course. They're a fantastic transition team amongst other things. Our game was exactly how I wanted it, and one goal or two goals in that 60 minutes changes the face of it. We didn't do that, and at this level they're so clinical that you saw the result.
Tom, buddy.
Frank, did you have an issue with the officiating tonight, the Militao challenge on Chalobah and the issues in the first half? It looked like you were unhappy with the amount of time Real Madrid were taking to restart play.
Yeah, I think it's probably the officials to be aware of that. It's a high-level game. Details of 2 minutes in the first half wasn't enough for me. But I don't want to complain about that after the result. But yeah, I thought that Militao for me was the second yellow card. I won't say what I really think, but I think in practice at this level, we see yellow cards given a lot. And that one in the attacking final third, when our players beyond their centre back and gets brought down, normally that's a yellow card, which means red, which means half an hour of here we go. That's what we had to do at the Bernabeu. Maybe they'd have had to do it here, but it didn't happen.
Andy Dillon.
Hi, Frank. Just over here. Thank you. I just asked, when the dust settles on all this, where you think this leaves Chelsea? I mean, they were cheered off tonight for the performance and everything, but out of the Champions League, no major final this season, no European football probably for next season. A club like Chelsea, sort of, that's the bread and butter for them. I just wondered if you could give us your insight into what Chelsea do now to pick themselves up from this.
We have to. I think the reality is at this level, we've been fortunate enough at Chelsea to have huge success for 20 years. Many clubs in the Premier League would dream of our success, in Champions Leagues year after year, Premier League winners. So maybe if this is a year where we're not quite where we want to be, and I think there are probably reasons for the transition. I think a few years ago we didn't make the Champions League for the following year, and Chelsea then won the Premier League the next year. So we can't be too short term with it. I think there's obviously places that we want to improve as a club, and I think maybe the level of game tonight shows that, because we played a good game and then we lose. So I don't think it's time to jump too far ahead of the step that's in front of you. The step in front of us is 7 games in the Premier League to show that performance, because that's the standard. And of course, the end bit of being clinical and scoring is absolutely crucial, and that's something we need to address.
Matt Law.
Frank, Didier Drogba, obviously our teammate, come out with some quite strong quotes tonight. He said that the new owners lack class, in his opinion, for the way they've gone about their business at Chelsea, and has also said that he doesn't recognise the club anymore. That's going to make headlines tomorrow. I wondered if you had an opinion on that, given that you are working for them.
No, I don't know. It's Didier's comments.
Sammy Mocknell.
Sorry.
Sammy.
Frank, you obviously during your playing day played a key role in setting the standard at this club. It's fair to say the standards have slipped this season, given the way the season has gone. How do you go about for the rest of the season trying to raise those standards, and what is the motivation for the players, given that there's probably not a lot left?
Yeah, get that. I've been asked that in every interview, and I understand the question, but the motivation has to be playing for Chelsea. There's some players that are maybe quite new here, they're getting used to the club, and that maybe isn't easy. Sometimes, we've seen some of the greatest players in the Premier League. When they first arrive, they need some time, and sometimes they go into teams that are flying, and they get put in, and they find their feet, and then you see them fly. So maybe there's reasons, obviously, with some of our players where there's a bit of transitioning. But I think in terms of motivation, you're playing for Chelsea, and so there's individual motivations throughout all the squad, and then there's a collective. And it has to be, for me, that we have to be absolutely competitive in everything we do every day. To get into the team, you have to show it. I picked a team today which I felt was the most formed team individually, the fittest team in terms of what this game was going to ask of us, and I think they showed it. They showed that they can compete with Real Madrid for sure, other than the final third stuff. So I think it's important to, as I said before, take each step. But each step for the players, and for me now, is like day off tomorrow, back to work Thursday, and get working towards Brentford, because you know, people will make a lot about this season for Chelsea because they've had so much success, and the reality is this club's going to be back, and it will take work, and it will take maybe a bit of process, and I think the fans appreciated the performance today, and maybe this season they've had moments where they're not feeling like that, so we have to latch on to that, get results for the end of the season, get performance for the end of the season, and then go again next year.
Okay, we've got time for 2 more. Jacob and then Simon Johnson to finish. Jacob.
What do you see the motivation as yourself on a personal level? Do you see these last few weeks as potentially a chance to put yourself in potential for the job to be here next season?
I just see it as a chance to work every day, which is a pleasure for me. You know, obviously to be here is an obvious pleasure because of my link to the club. So I enjoy that side. You know, I don't like losing games. I've come into a team that's, you know, low on confidence and losing too many games. We haven't had time to work. We now get little bits of period to work, and people on the outside world might write it off and go, well, what does that mean if you come in 8th or 12th or whatever it is? For me, it means a lot. And other than that, I don't go beyond that. You know, that for me is the challenge to raise performance. And as I say, I keep talking. I haven't had time to work. Now I have some time to work. I saw things today that I liked. There's no doubt in that first 60 minutes, you asked Carlo how they felt in the first half. We gave them a lot of problems, and individuals were performing at the level we want. The team was performing at the level we want. Can't come away from that because Brighton wasn't that level. I said that after the game, and we can't be a team that turns up here and doesn't turn up there. Now it's like competitive all the way through.
Okay, last question, Simon Johnson.
Hey Frank, how important is it that this is a one-off in terms of Chelsea being out of the Champions League, and from what you've seen, the talent in the dressing room, how confident are you that it is just going to be one season out?
Well, listen, I think in the way the Premier League's moving so fast is like the landscape changes. I think to say that any given team has the divine right to be in the top 4 and getting the Champions League is tough. Manchester United have spent time out of Champions League. Arsenal have spent time out of Champions League. You know, lots of big clubs have. And in this moment, I think to try and predict what happens going forward, or say will it be good or will it be bad, I think is pretty pointless. But I do think that we can set the building blocks now of where we want to get to. And as I say, I've come into I'm here for a reason, obviously, because the season hasn't been what it is, and in this role that I'm in. So can I affect it in that period? Hopefully, yeah. But the bigger thing for the club will be, okay, we want to get back to where we were, but the challenges are big. Everyone's doing the same. Everyone's investing. Everyone's getting better. Maybe some clubs are more stable than we are at the minute in terms of the squad. So I don't think we can get ahead of ourselves other than, you know, having little tasters like tonight where there's disappointment, and understand what it takes to get back. And I know what it takes to get back from being here as a player for a long time and as a coach before in the Champions League. So we have to set those standards high again. And I keep saying the same stuff, but only the work of the group and having a real clear direction of where we want to go is the way, as I see it. So in my next 7 games, I'll do my mini version of that. And as I say, if we can see performance rise, I think it will give the fans some good feeling and give us good feeling in the summer. And I think that's as far as we should look.